Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this narration of the web series Accidentally Adopted. This is a new series. If you like this story, it would be truly awesome of you to head to the description, click on the link for the author's page, and show some appreciation. Anyways, on to the story. Accidentally Adopted, written by TheCurserHasntMoved. Chapter 1. Log 6,000.8.19. Personal, Captain Yormdrill. They say life comes at you with high velocity, and I believe it comes at you with that and a malicious glee and reminding you that you are getting old. I know you'll read this one day, Trandy, so I want to tell you that I'm proud of you and that I love you. Happy halfway, sweetheart. Anyways, I'll just keep on like a normal entry. Well, obviously, from above, it's Tandri's halfway today. And just like my parents did for me and my wife did for her, we get Trani something to be responsible for. Do we get her something useful, something like a robot she'll have to maintain and direct, a set of tools that she'll have to keep track of and in good condition, maybe a personal holopad that she'll have to not misuse and infect with viruses. Of course not, because my beautiful wife is as stubborn as she is beautiful. We got her a pet. At least, we didn't go to a pet shop. I hate those places. I'm pretty sure they buy from mill breeders and poachers. Absolutely disgusting places. Unfortunately, Trandy had no clue what kind of pet would be a good pet, so going to a reputable breeder was out. However, there happened to be an animal rescue shelter on station. By the stars, how fortunate that Travity's idea would work after all. Oh, joy. Anyway, the shelter was only slightly less depressing than the hospice. I really hope that all of those animals will get adopted soon, but a lot of them are getting defensive for the kennels, so you can tell that they've been in there for a while. I tried to steer her towards the juvenile animals, but Trandy was adamant that the old boys deserved at least to get a look. Trandy's kindness is something to be developed, not curtailed. So obviously, I went along, or better, or worse. Well, she laid eyes in the slump, huddled into the furthest corner under what looked like a soft blanket or towel, with its head sticking out. I thought that it was its head anyway, since its eyes were there and what looked like a pair of ears, one on each side. The issue was that it looked puffy and lumpy under the shaggy patch of red fur. I asked the adoption person, stars save me if I know what his title was, "What is wrong with its head?" "The lumps and discoloration are bruising," he answered, and I privately congratulated myself for identifying its head. "It survived injuries to its head?" Trevdy asked, and I reached over to rub the space between her upper and lower shoulders to comfort her. "He has bruising and microfractures throughout his body. Oh, it's a mammal and a male, by the way. From what we can tell over the past 3 days, the injuries appear to be regenerating. Remarkably, his brain case wasn't damaged despite the severe bruises on his face, and we theorize his bones must be very dense to have sustained such injuries. I do not recommend him for adoption, though. He has refused any kind of feed we've offered." "Don't you know what it eats from a scan?" I interjected, hoping the adoption person would drive the point home. Instead, he said, "Unfortunately not, since we only have a low-level scanner to detect symptoms of illness or injury. Can't afford a full level 4 bioscanner." "Maybe he's not eating because he's too sad?" Trandy asked. My poor heart can't handle being melted like that. "Very likely. Animal Control said they found him in a pit-fighting ring." "Has it done anything aggressive towards the staff?" I asked with bated breath. If it was a broken pit animal, then I would refuse it. No amount of adorable daughter antics could possibly sway me on that point. "Well, if we enter to offer food or to clean the kennel or take him to exercise, he exhibits avoidance behavior. However, if anyone tries to get close to him with a medical device, he will lash out and attempt to destroy the device. We theorize that the pit gangsters used injections to keep him drugged up to make him fight." "I want to try going in." I tried to refuse. It was an unnecessary risk. The poor creature had obviously lost the will to live and would probably lay there like a lump anyways. "We can start by letting him see you." We keep the inner door opaque on his side to try to reduce the stresses he's exposed to. I could tell she was nervous as she stepped into the space between the inner and outer doors to the kennel, but a glance towards the huddled lump showed that it heard the door cycle. Its eyes flicked open, and they seemed cold to me. Blue, like the old stories about ghosts lurking in the bogs. When I could see through the inner door, I saw that his face was actually quite expressive. Its eyes widened. It glanced to my wife and me, and then back to Trandy. I think it was surprised. But instead of tensing under the blanket, it seemed to just lean back a little. The inner door cycled, and Trandy stepped in. It surprised the adoption person. It surprised me. It surprised Trevdy. Stars, I think it surprised itself when Trandy cooed softly to it and reached out as she slowly stepped forward. It didn't flee to the other corner. It didn't even flinch. Instead, it reached its upper appendage and met Trandy's fingers with its own. Well, I was boned. I decided to ask what it looked like under the blanket, and the adoption person very helpfully provided an estimation of how it would look without the injuries. Pinkish skin, 2 legs ending in feet with short digits. I guessed helped it walking bipedally, 2 arms ending in dexterous fingers and opposable thumbs. Only 1 thumb per hand, though. It had patches of fur in certain areas, under its arms, the groin, and what seemed like a thin layer on its lower legs. Overall, it would look kind of cute. Like one of our children, except the wrong color, missing a set of thumbs, a thumb in each hand, and a tail. It might even tolerate being dressed up. That is if it survived that long. When I objected, my beautiful and wise wife told me, "Man-animals' last days are also a responsibility." There was no way I was getting a robotics buddy. Ignoble. Journal entry 1, date IDFK, name Greg George. This is an improvement from the arena, but it leads me to some disquieting conclusions. I was in my cell, trying to get some sleep again. I was pretty sure that I was on day 3, or at least the bowl with the 5 compartments of kibble number 3. Well, if they weren't going to force-feed me kibble, I wasn't going to eat it. I was just thinking how I was ashamed that the cell didn't have anything to tie a blanket to when something weird happened. The outer door cycled, and when the inner door turned transparent, there was no creepy spider centaur thing doing clickety-clack at me. There was a 4-armed girl there. A 4-armed blue girl. I thought she was a girl because of her dress and lots of flowers all over, and her parents looked through the door at me with a slightly worried look on their faces. The adult female, honest to God, had huge tits, massive jugs, so one in the green jumpsuit must have been the male. Therefore, dresses were for girls amongst the blue grievous people. Blavouses. I'm a fucking genius. I'd probably be more scientific and shit. But this is my sanity journal, so if any doctor gets their mitts on it, they can suck my balls. Anyway, the Bleavis girl comes into the cell and starts making quiet noises at me, like trying to be all soothing and stuff. So she wasn't going to do anything weird. Maybe. So maybe I wouldn't be interjected with that weird shit that made my blood feel like fire and my brain feel like a murder hornet nest and get dragged off to beat some poor alien to death. Okay, cool, I thought. She reached out towards me, and I couldn't help myself. I reached out to her like Adam on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. It would have been hilarious if these aliens knew crap about art. Anyways, she left, and I eventually fell asleep. Well, slap my ass and call me baby if I didn't wake up in what looked suspiciously like a storage closet with all the junk cleared out. At first, I was stoked to not be in either a filthy hole in the deck or a featureless high-tech cell. Then I realized that I'd been put on a big, firm pillow and had the same blanket for my cell. That's when I figured crap out. I was a goddamn pet. With shocking clarity, I realized that I wasn't a gladiator before. I was a fecking pit hound. In that book, it made these feckers who kidnapped me worse for making me mutilate and kill helpless animals under the influence of drugs. I cried about it. I might actually admit that to somebody if they ask, but I doubt that's in the cards. So, a good quiet cry. Since habits electroshocked into you die hard, and I was ready to do a little exploring, The closet was about 3 yards by 4, with a set of shelves built into the back wall, which had one conveniently at waist room, with enough room for me to sit up between that and the next shelf. Bed upgrade acquired. One of the other walls was bare, and the other one had a rack of what looked like various hooks for hanging things from. The final wall had a door, what looked like some kind of touchscreen panel next to it, and a bowl of water on the floor. I wrapped myself up in the blanket and scooped up the bowl to take a drink of water, while I glanced over my ad hoc bedroom again. Score! I don't care how alien this place is. A notebook and a pen are a notebook and a pen wherever you go. Sanity Journal got me through the crap back home. Sanity Journal will get me through having nobody to talk to. I'll have to consider my options. But first, I want to test the door and see if I can find the pantry. I want food, and not even a family of nice blue bluevises is stopping me. Sneaky breaky time. End of Chapter 1. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Dragzoon W.R.E, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, Jon Creighton, and Sevaren Serberous. Thank you very much.